We're asked to find the average speed in this first problem with the distance that we've traveled, which is 220 miles, and we have to find the average speed with the distance and the time it took to travel, which was 4 hours. So if you may recall, if you have taken Algebra 1, the formula to finding the average speed would be the distance divided by the time it takes to travel. And this can be represented actually by using variables. If we wanted to, we could turn this into d over t, where we simplified distance and time when we gave it variables d over t. So furthermore, the more proper way of writing this formula might be a for average equals the d over t. And this is what we would call a proper equation, because we have the variables and the operation is going to equal something. So let's go ahead and let's create our variable. So the distance traveled, well, that would be the d part right here. So we know that d, the distance that we've traveled on our trip, was 200 miles. So I'm actually going to change this to d, not average. We need to change this to d. This is going to be d equals 220. That's our distance that we traveled, and the time it took for us to travel, that's going to be the t part. That's actually 4 hours, as we can tell right down here. So we can go ahead and we can set up our little equation right here. So a for average is going to be equal to 220 divided by 4. Now if you put that into your calculator, the result of this is going to be 55. So it took us we traveled at 55 miles per hour. That was the average. Of course, it would be higher and lower times, but the average speed was 55 miles per hour on our journey to travel the 220 miles over the 4-hour period of time. Now in this very last one right here, we're asked to find the perimeter of the triangle. So when we want to find the perimeter, we want to find the measurements of all the sides on the outside to see what the total measure of these sides are for the perimeter. So the standard formula for finding the sides would be to add all of them together, of course. And this can be represented as a plus b plus c. And that's going to be equal to our perimeter. And you might be wondering, well, where do we get a, b, c from? Think of this. This is 3 separate variables, and we have 3 sides of a triangle. So we can give each of these sides a letter value if we wanted to represent a specific part of this equation. Maybe the 4 is going to be represented by A, the 3 is going to be represented by B, and the 6 is going to be represented by C. So we have A, B, and C. So we just have to simply add these together to find our perimeter. So we can go ahead and we can put these values in. So A, we gave the value 4, B, we gave the value 3, so 4 plus 3, and then finally 6 is our last side that we have to put in right there, 6, and 4 plus 3, that would be 7, and of course then we bring down the 6, and that would be equal to 13. And this could be represented more commonly, you would think, would be in feet when you're doing a real life situation. It could be yards, but for our sake, we're going to measure this triangle in feet, so it's going to be 13 feet is the perimeter of this triangle.